Holy shit, listen to that music, guys. Oh, it is beautiful. Getting those 2010 Fallout Boy vibes. That alt rock sound was so popular back in the day. This is going to be an insane nostalgia trip for me. Look at that crowd. Oh yeah, the stage, everything, it looks so perfect. Just the way I remembered it, man. Oh, I love this music. And the KTF signs. We're going to be watching some old school Broodwar here. Here comes one of the two teams. It is, of course, in Proleague. This is going to be Flash versus Jiangbi. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this up on the channel as of yet. This is a special request from a great supporter of mine on Patreon. I don't have his permission to say his name, so I'm not going to say it, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for your support. And we're going to be watching this, one of his favorite games. And I haven't watched it yet. I'm just loving this here, though. This really reminds me of my childhood. Going to school, going to high school. I got my first iPod Touch. Had Wi-Fi. And I used to go on YouTube and watch Violtac cast these games like these on Proleague, MSL, and OSL. It really takes me back, man. So much nostalgia. And of course, we're gonna have an amazing game here too with Flash. I'm not sure which era of Flash this is. I think this was 2000. What year was this? 2012. Let me go back and just take a look as the players take the stage. 2008. Oh, wow. So this is still early in the Flash career. Still very, very strong, becoming that dominant force, but let's actually bring up Flash's record here, because I'm not confident enough to speak without having that stuff on screen here. The years, man, I cannot keep these years straight.
KTF도 상당히 무서운 팀이고, 그리고 선두 삼성전자칸 현재 2경기를 남겨놓고 있는데, 오늘 경기에 승리한다면 동분전 일격을 당한다 하더라도 플레이오프를 최소한 합정짓고 좋은 성적을 이길 때는 강한.
All right, we're gonna skip forward a little bit here, at least until the players are in their booths. There they are. Look at that, it's so beautiful. I just love the way the Koreans did it back in the day. 2008, it was something special, man. You can see that the resolution is really small here. It's like the computer screens that they have in their gamer booths there. Let's jump forward a little bit. It's the old projection screen TVs or computer screens, as you can see in the booth. There's Flash, the young Flash, the thin Flash. Back when he was just a little guy. He used to be called Baby, if you guys don't remember. Long time ago, way back when he was competing at about 15 or 16 years old. But of course gave up that name as he started to dominate. He can't be Baby forever. You have to give up that mantle eventually. And yeah, Flash, eventually the one to pioneer early expansion builds for Terran players. The very first successful Command Center first builds that we ever saw for Terran work in professional matches, and it took him a long time to perfect that style, but he eventually became one of the most beastly macro Terran players. Well, the most beastly, basically overall best Terran player in the world. Not sure what we're seeing on screen here, so I'm just gonna skip forward a little bit to the start of this game. And here we go. Wow, look at that resolution. I haven't looked at this for so long. I apologize, guys. Those of you whose eyes are burning used to a 1080p resolution, I certainly am, and looking at this is a little bit rough, but hey, we don't it would be fucking amazing if we could get the replays from back in the day. I'm sure that they're stored on some crazy hard drive somewhere. At least I hope so. I hope this isn't the only evidence that this game ever happened. Just a old VOD in what is it, 480p resolution? That's a little bit sad. That's like an NFT. That's more valuable to me than an NFT. I've heard a lot about NFTs lately. I don't put much credence into them, but imagine being able to buy a replay like this from 2008. That would be pretty amazing. And it's funny that 2008 replays are actually way more available on places like TL.net than even replays of today, which is kind of crazy. The ability to share is just so much better now. Sharing replays back then, sharing even these videos to a Western audience was kind of crazy. I remember hearing stories from Vialtech that they were watching on the TV in Korea, recording it onto VHS, and then mailing it in the early days to the US to be ported over and actually put online. It's kind of crazy to think about those days, but yeah, it was a different world back then, really, truly, and the strategies we're gonna see here, I'm not sure what we're gonna get, but so far from the Protoss player, pretty much standard for what we see in today's day and age in Starcraft. We've got a Nexus first, we've got a gas and a gateway on the way, so nothing out of the ordinary in terms of 2023. We've got a normal fast expand build here for Terran. It's going to be a single factory fast expand. He's already got the workers off the gas. He's going to be going ahead and snagging. I remember this map, actually. Is this called Blue Storm? I think it might be. Let me actually look at the VOD again. Yes, it's Blue Storm. It's a crazy little map with small entrances going towards the center, large entrances, a ramp area going around the map, and then you can eventually get down into the center. But there's like this little tiny gap on either side that you can rush through, but only with small units, if I remember correctly. I don't think tanks can actually fit through that area. You kind of got to go around. I believe vultures can get through there. Ooh, a probe hiding here, and a ton of SCVs being pulled. So there is going to be a bunker rush here on this Nexus. So Nexus first being punished. This is absolute standard in today's day and age in 2023. He needs to pull the trigger here, though. The SCVs are on the way. Oh, the probes are going to block here. Really, really good probe micro on top of these units. Jumping on top of the Marines. He actually gets 2 kills there. Only 1 Marine left over. Is going to be picked off now. And the probe's going to retreat back to the mineral patches. Really well done. Here's the first vulture now coming up, and the first dragoon is already out. He's going to continue to push forward. Another marine arrives. Vulture, of course, going after the probes, but the marine goes down once again. And with these two dragoons on the field, the marines are never going to make it into that bunker. Bunker will have to be canceled. And there you go. The rush here has been held, and Flash is in a terrible position here. Hardly any probes were killed. I'd say maybe 5 probes overall got picked off there, maybe a little bit more. Wow, the main base is pretty empty here, but good saturation at the natural. He doesn't lose his nexus. He can reproduce those probes no problem. And Flash, he hasn't thrown down his command center yet. He's still waiting for those minerals. Gonna throw it down here soon, but needs to get the bunker first as well, because these dragoons are a big threat. Vultures on the map will be throwing down mines here shortly. These dragons do have to be careful, otherwise they might have mines placed behind them. Pylons going up around the map. I think there's a pylon in the bottom right-hand corner as well, although the visibility here is at an all-time low. I really can't see that very well, that map at all. So it's just basically a guess at this point, but I think there's something down in the bottom right-hand corner. The mine's gonna get laid down here behind these two dragoons, and this single zealot kind of trapping them in this area. There's the robotics facility on the way. It's still a long ways to getting out an observer here in order to deal with these mines. And now he sees the mines have been placed, so dragoon just gonna chase down these vultures. Can't really go forward though. Ooh, eats a mine. That's scary. Losing a lot of HP from that dragoon. Ooh, vulture. What was that? Zealot run by? I think a vulture got killed off there as well. Finally, tank is out here now. We're getting the first person view from Flash, which still looks very, very fast. I wonder what the APM was like back in 2008. Was it actually 400 as well? I seem to remember it was a little bit lower, maybe back then. Something like 300. It seemed really high, if I remember correctly. I could be totally off on that, but it's been a long time since I've watched some of these ancient games. Now we've got that observatory up, so eventually these dragoons can actually retreat. So, oh, this is a good move here though, getting out before the observer comes. Oh, don't lose the tank, don't lose the tank. Oh, he loses one tank. Good targeting there by Jiangbi. Trading a tank, or trading 2 dragoons for a tank. Probably gonna lose this last dragoon to a mine, but maybe he can get lucky here and just wander around the right direction. Looks like he does. Head out in the correct direction. Escapes death there. Mine's not triggering. And a third base on the way for Flash. So Flash is gonna power up super, super hard here. Now, in modern day Starcraft, I think a lot of Protoss players would look at this situation. A Terran player going 3 base on 1 factory and just build a few shuttles, go break this man. I don't think that's gonna happen here though. Back in 2008, Arbiters were everything. So getting into 3 base, 2 base or 3 base, getting into Arbiters was basically just the way that this game was played. You didn't really go for a quick speed shuttle. You didn't really go for bulldog attacks too often. That was more like that was more of a timing thing. It wasn't a build really that you could translate into late game. Back in these days, you basically had to go Arbiter back then, just because that was the understanding of how this matchup was to be played, and pretty much everyone followed that reasoning. Now, what Flash is doing, just setting up some buildings in front here, that doesn't really help too much if there's, for example, 3 shuttles flying in here full of zealots. But with just this small dragoon army and back at home, switching techs, No tech switch yet. Where's the starport? Okay, we don't have one yet. There's one shuttle out. So there is some vulnerability here for Flash. Maybe if the shuttle gets some really good bombs here with the Zealots, he could try to break this. No, instead just going to focus on economy here. Jiangbi with the Nexus in the top left-hand corner. I feel like Jiangbi has not done the greatest job of converting his early lead. He had a massive advantage in the early game with which to power up from. Stopping that timing, stopping that rush there. It was meant and intended to kill the early Nexus. He's here on 4 bases now with the 4th base about to finish up. But his position is, it's not amazing. Oh, pretty quick speed here. He's going to get in and get a couple of kills. Great shot there. 3 kills. If I see that correctly, I believe that was 3. Again, difficult to see on this resolution, but I believe 3 SCVs going down so far. That's a pretty decent kill count. Looks like the shuttle is getting trapped up in the corner now. Can focus that down with the Goliath. Ooh, gets one of the Goliaths and does manage to sneak out. Pretty good harassment here overall for Jiangbi. And there's the tech switch coming. Templar Archives on the way, but I don't see a Arbiter or a starport yet, or an Arbiter Tribunal, of course, but starport, of course, comes first. Where is that tech? Is he just going to go straight into Templar and Storm off of this? That would be a little bit ahead of its time. This type of build just going for a ton of gateways here and just pumping out as much as he can. A little bit out of character for 2008 now. Everything is kind of being watched here by Jiangbi. He knows exactly what's going on, when the timing is going to come from Flash. He sees the bottom right. He sees the top center. There's not too many turrets here in the main. A lot of players in today's time absolutely take advantage of this, and that's exactly what Jiangbi's going to do as well. Flying in with double shuttle. There's no turrets at the top. Oh, this is so painful. Right as the move out happens, going to fly in here, drop a bunch of Zealots and a couple of Reavers as well. He's actually in range of this turret, which is unfortunate. Now going to be able to pick up the Reaver. Oh, one of the Reavers goes down. Nice siege up there by Flash. Pulling the SCVs away really efficiently as well. Looks like he might get a few more kills here, but eventually this is going to be cleaned up. Oh, the shuttle is still surviving here with just a few HP. Very frustrating stuff. But Flash has cleaned house here. His base is now safe. Can focus on pushing out across the map. This map has a very small low ground. Oh, one more shot. Looks like it will dud here. And I was talking about the map. The map has a valley in the center. If you're pushing from the top right, you need to first rotate to the bottom. You have to rotate south and then turn. Oh, he gets one more shot off. Oh, boy. Oh, huge shot there. And coming in simultaneously with this attack here at the front. A lot of tanks here on the high ground. The back tanks still unsieged for now, doing a good number on these Zealots in the front. Now they're going to siege up and push back the Dragoons. Looks like Flash holding on here, at least for now. Another base going to come down for Jiangbi. Jiangbi snagging a base up there at the 12 o'clock. A base that was rarely taken on this map. It's very hard to hold you really right outside of your opponent's natural. Actually, right outside of their main, so a dropship can easily get up there. Can kind of push in towards it as Terran from your main. I think that you can cover a drop landing in that area from your main base if you siege up right next to the wall, but it's been a million years since I played this map, so I'm not sure if I'm fully correct on that. Trying to get some turrets out on the map. Got to prevent more shuttles from finding their way into this bottom right-hand quadrant of the base here. Coming up in the bottom right. On 4 bases, Flash can truly max out here and take continuous fights against Jiangbi. Still more speed shuttles. This is interesting. Jiangbi really playing like it's 2023 here. This is a very modern looking game for a game played in 2008. Of course, there should be a few more shuttles if it was more of a modern game, but here we go. Shuttles dropping out Templar, throwing out storms on top of these tanks. Not too bad storm-wise. They get another storm there on some of these back tanks as well. Dragons should be able to push through and kill off the few remaining tanks here towards the bottom left. They won't be able to go up this ramp, I don't think, until they get some reinforcements, however. There we go. Carrier tech switch now. Big carrier tech switch here from Jiangbi. So he just reset the tank count. He just cleared out a huge amount of Terran army and is going to be replenishing his own army with carriers instead. Now, this is about the point where you don't really want to attack in anymore as the Protoss. You've freed up that supply, and your army is going to be smaller than the previous attack here. You're building carriers, so you're not going to have the largest army. He is going to try and come in here once again. Oh boy, that's some pretty good storms. One more storm maybe. Nope. Going to back away once again as the Zealots and Templar die off there. And I don't think that Flash has any idea about this tech switch. You can see very few tanks here. He's still pumping out as quickly as possible, trying to replenish that army, trying to get back up to max. Triple Stargate carrier here. This is going to be so many carriers coming out of Jiangbi that Flash is going to truly struggle to build enough Goliaths to keep himself alive. Now, cutting off this army, not allowing it to rotate here, not allowing it to get underneath this high ground area. Is very strong on this map, holding that high ground, that green space on the map on either side is very, very strong. There's 3 separate levels of ground here. The valley in the middle high ground on either side, and then the very highest of high ground. Another surround here with the Zealots just diving forward on top of these tanks. Quite a few of them going down here. The advanced tanks get picked off quite easily. The reinforcing tanks are being dived on as well. The tanks going down here. This is not looking good for Flash. She's continuously getting thrown back, and the number of Dragoons is not going down. And the carrier count is continuing to increase here. Uh-oh, this is looking scary. That's quite a lot of factories, though. So many factories for Flash to continue to reinforce here. He's building turrets once again and sending out a command center to the bottom center. That 6 o'clock command center should be very easy. A soft target for Jiangbi to attack. Here comes another wave of Templar, Zealots, and Dragons, but no storms so far. The storms have fallen flat here, and a lot of the Dragoons are getting cleaned up now. Good targeting here from Flash, actually focusing on those Dragoons, letting the unsiege tanks and Goliaths clean up these Zealots, and he's going to continue to push forward now, relentless here with his resupplies. And where are these carriers? Carriers, I think, should be headed towards this 6 o'clock base. That 6 o'clock base is so vulnerable and easy to attack. There's really no way to trap these carriers. If you're bringing Goliaths forward, the carriers can easily retreat into the Protoss main base if they're overwhelmed, and they can fight from this impassable terrain here. Few Goliaths have popped, and it appears now that actually Flash must have been aware of this carrier transition here. He's got the Goliaths on the field already, and their number is starting to increase now. Big wave of interceptors flying out once again, just picking off a ton of these Goliaths. Backing away. There's a great storm on a ton of vultures, switching now into an offensive attack on this big tank Goliath army. This is so many Dragoons mixed in here with these carriers that the Goliaths really can't trade efficiently. Looks like he failed to gun down one of those tanks, or two of those tanks in that small group that was remaining. So actually Flash holds on for now, but if he manages to pick off all the tanks with these carriers, then the Dragoon plus carrier army can just absolutely annihilate these mass Goliaths here. Flying in towards the main base now. The turrets are buying a bit of time, but really not slowing down these carriers by much. Oh, looks like he's taking some damage on one of these carriers from the turret. I wonder if that was a target fire by Flash to deal some extra damage there, because generally the turrets do target interceptors rather than the carriers themselves. Although that is not always the case. Now flying here into natural, he's just going on a turret killing rampage. Jiangbi not getting too much damage done aside from killing these turrets, but his carrier number is insane. So many carriers here now. I think with the last three, we're probably up to 9 carriers now in this group. It's a little bit hard to tell, but I should be at 9 carriers with the 3 Stargates production. That's a lot of carriers. That's a ton of damage to work with. He's already got the storm, so how can Flash bring this one back? Storm plus carrier is really the ultimate composition. You use the carriers to gun down the tanks. You have a few zealots and Goliath, or a few zealots and dragoons mixed in, and you drop storms on any big clumps of Goliaths that try to shoot down these carriers, and that generally will take you to a win. In any Protoss versus Terran game, it's up to the Terran to slow down the Protoss economy and take the fight to them before they get this optimal composition with Templar Carrier, Dragoon Zealot. It's tough to do, but you absolutely have to find a way to stop Protoss from getting this point. He's adding on so many turrets here. This is insane amounts. But Jiangbi's still hanging back on his side of the map, kind of picking off what he can for now, but not taking big fights in the main or this base at the 6 o'clock. I thought he would have killed this by now, but he's holding off, getting up even more carriers here. Does he have observers with these carriers? I don't see any yet, but I haven't seen any indication that Flash wants to go for... Oh, here we go. Some storms coming down. He's going to prevent the Goliaths from coming forward by using these storms. Looks like the Goliaths are going to just go ahead and run in here, trying to shoot down these Templars as quickly as possible. The shuttle's been pushed away. The Templars are being gunned down pretty well. Ooh, good storm there, dealing huge damage to these transferring SCVs as well. I think all he needs to do is just repeat that same formula a few more times. He's getting such great value out of it, but for now, Flash on half of the map. He has this locked down. Half the bases on the map are his. That's not as much of a factor in carrier games, but it still is heavily gonna affect things here. There you go, coming in once again towards this base. That's a ton of Goliaths, and I think Jiangbi could just drop his Templar on the ground outside of this base, inside the Protoss main base, and storm up onto the high ground. I think that would be highly effective, but he is backing off once again for now. He wants to get Terran off of one of these bases optimally. That would be the best case scenario. Oh no, flying a little too close here. And these carriers are not on a hotkey with another unit, so they're not actually grouping up as much as they could. Kind of flying around in a wide bunch here rather than a really tight pack. Looks like a couple of tanks find their way out into the middle of the map. Maybe a bad rally or something, but end up getting picked off. Carrier's gonna rotate once again, maybe going up towards the main base. Little does Jiangbi know, though, a huge wall of turrets has been now constructed in the main. Should be able to use that location to defend. He's actually transferring all of his Goliaths up towards the main already, so fully aware of the plans here from Jiangbi. He's gonna head up towards this main base. Carriers in an incredible number on their way up here. I think there's actually more than 12. There might actually be 13, 14, maybe even 15 carriers at this point. So an insane number of carriers here, probably completely maxed out, as is likely Flash. The turrets disappear crazy quick. You can see how many turrets there were on the ground just moments ago and how quickly they all disappeared. Has to retreat for now, though. The interceptors are likely running low here. Minerals also running low in the top left-hand corner. Only one mining base going to be left here after not too much longer. So many turrets have been constructed in the middle of the map as well. It's kind of insane here. Just, I want to see a little bit farther down. Look at all these turrets, man. That's so many to defend these tanks in the front line. He is going to start to pick them off, though, and rotate once again towards the main. This is where things get really tough for the Terran. He can't defend everywhere at the same time. He's got to keep building these turrets. He's also got to keep moving his Goliaths around and tracking these carriers. Otherwise, they'll get too much done in one of these locations, either in the main base, killing off some factories and such, or over here at the front, opening a way for Dragoon, Zealot, Templar to actually make headway against these tanks. There you go. That base is now mined out. It's only one base left over. He's going to send out the probes here, sacrifice some of them. Oh, no, he's actually sending most. Oh, yeah, he is sending them down. So the probes are going to come forward here, be sacrificed, and replaced with more army units. And the final minerals on the map are being mined out as we speak. Bottom right-hand corner is likely to be getting low here for Flash. I think bottom center is the only mineral field that has a reasonable amount of minerals left over at it. Coming back into the main, this is a monstrous carrier army. The turrets almost not even knowing what to do here. Some of them just spinning and not firing at all. So the carrier number is kind of insanely high at this point. Carriers flying once again out of the main, just picking off turrets and leaving. I feel like Jiangbi needs to do a little bit more of a committed attack and get some real damage in one of these locations. Otherwise, he's going to mine out. And Flash is going to mine out the 6 o'clock. And then things are going to get a little bit weird here. It looks like gonna try to elevate things into the main base, but that's not a lot here. He's just gonna elevate a few of these Templar to start, running the Templar forward, trying to get some good storms on these Goliaths. Pretty darn good overall with those storms, but another round of Zealots and Templar are gonna come here into the main base. He's pushing forward into this main, and Flash struggling here to push things back. However, the main bulk now of these Goliaths has actually arrived and is going to target down that shuttle, so no more elevator units going to come here into the main base. Flash doing a great job of keeping his Goliaths constantly firing. This takes an incredible amount of APM as the carriers dip away forward and back here, but the Goliath number is now getting extremely low. Zealots are still doing a lot of damage on the ground, even though there's so few of them, because most of the Goliaths are actually firing at these carriers. That's why the combination of units is so powerful. Flash is barely hanging on right now. Most of his buildings are flying here in the main base. Most of his factories in the air right now. Hardly able to produce, and he's lost a ton of buildings. He's taking some damage from this one turret. Jiangbi just going to rotate once again, going after some more turrets here. I don't think the turrets are the best target at this moment. I think bottom center should be where he focuses his attention. However, he's coming forward now towards the center of the map. Again, a lot of turrets here, a lot of mines, huge amounts of tanks as well. He can start to target down all of these turrets, and then going after the tanks will open a way for the ground army. Here we go, more tanks going down here. The Goliaths are trying their best to rotate. This is so many carriers. Tanks all being picked off here. The Goliaths are coming forward. Where is the ground army? I think it's about time to send it in. Jiangbi taking this fight so efficiently here. Losing some interceptors and nothing more. These carriers are still very high in number, just continuing to pick off massive amounts of tank, turret, and Goliath. And then once again going to rotate here back towards the main base. You can see how quickly Flash is reacting to that now, though. Already on the march. It's a very long path to get your Goliaths from the front lines here in the center of the map all the way back into the main base, but he's done it beautifully, and he's actually focusing so well here with his scans, keeping on top of this. He sees the carrier's turn once again. Now he's got to head back up into the main base. Kind of been juked out a little bit here, Flash has been, and he's going to send his Goliaths back from the front lines once again, getting here into the main base. Lots of turrets going down. Now this is great, this is good, and it's looking great for Jiangbi, but does he have money anymore? I feel like his income is about to run out. There's the bottom right hand corner running out. This base is just about donezo. So top center, yeah, gone. Nothing left here. And with all these carriers, that's a lot of interceptors to keep producing. If Flash manages to just keep on killing his opponent's interceptors, maybe he can find a way to win this game. That is so many interceptors, though. Oh my god, just covering the screen. He's fighting here straight up with the Goliaths, just killing off a ton of them, but Flash continues to constantly produce them, continuing to just constantly pump out these turrets as well. This takes an incredible amount of diligence and APM to do successfully. Oh, actually, Goliath can make it through that center place. I actually didn't know that. So Goliath can make it through there. It's like we've got the first-person VOD for Jiangbi now. The first-person view here. How many interceptors does he have? That seems like he doesn't have interceptors for everything. How much minerals does he have? I think he's out of minerals as well. I think on the screen there we saw 0 minerals. So no minerals left to actually replenish any interceptors here. That's bad. That's real bad. Some of these carriers are going to start to run out completely and then be completely useless. Here's Flash's replay, or Flash's first-person VOD now. He's continuously scanning here, always on top of where his opponent is. He's bringing forth the boys as well, bringing them out to this final battle here that's soon to take place. As you can see, all the minerals are run out. Probes being brought forward as well to fight, and we're going into a starvation match here. Nothing left for either player to mine. Only gas geysers remain, and that can last you for a long time as Protoss if you're just building Templars. However, I think Jiangbi's used up all of his minerals now with the carrier interceptors, so he just doesn't have anything to produce at this point, and both players are a little bit stuck here. One of them has to make a move. One of them has to go ahead and attack. But both players here, the defender's advantage is a little bit too good. He's going to go ahead and lift off all of his buildings. A science vessel is out now. I don't know why one of those hadn't been produced earlier, but this was a very back and forth match, so maybe not able to scrape together the gas for that. That science vessel can be incredibly good with the EMPs on the Templar, D-Matrix on whatever tanks or Goliaths are being focused down by the carriers. But only one here, unfortunately. Even in the most late game crazy stages, you can try to research the Irradiate spell as well, and Irradiate can be pretty good against Templar. You just throw one Irradiate for one Templar. That's really good value. And if you're in a situation like this, it can be very strong. Oh my goodness, what is gonna happen here? Look at all the buildings flying out into the middle of the map. It's just flying. This is like a ladder game here. All the buildings flying out into the middle of the map. I guess he can send them forward, right? He's actually gonna float them over his units? Oh my god, so you can't actually target any of these things down. That's kind of hilarious. He can float them over his tanks, right? So if he puts the factories over his tanks, the carriers can't actually focus them down, and I don't think the Jiangbi can kill Flash here if he can't target down the turrets at all. That's the ultimate defense. Abusing the mechanics of the game. The carriers will always target down turrets and Goliaths before targeting down the tanks. So you absolutely have to right-click them, and if you're not able to right-click them, oh, Flash helping his, or fixing his mouse pad there with some tape. Completely confident that he can't really be attacked right now. His APM is at absolute 0 at the moment. Getting his headphones adjusted, just sitting down comfortably here. Is this where this game ends? Oh my goodness. Either player just not going to attack here? Oh, this is ridiculous. This is really where you want that Irradiate spell. Of course, the carriers can gun down a science vessel very, very quickly, so that is a factor, but I feel like Flash, I know he doesn't have to pull the trigger, and I don't think he can lose if he attacks, but I feel like he has an advantage here. He should be able to win if he goes for an attack. Looks like Flash browsing the internet here. He's checking his Reddit, or back then I guess he's checking his MySpace. Both players just confused about what to do at this point. Neither player able to figure out if they should attack or not. I think both players just pretty sure that attacking is the wrong move at this moment. I feel like Jiangbi could force something, some sort of attack here. If he send his carriers into the main base and just start killing buildings, maybe Flash would just sit here and chill, but Jiangbi could go around the map here. It looks like a pause gonna come through. And the referees are going to be called forward. Are we going to have a draw here? It looks like they're both going to communicate with each other through the referees here. Are you going to attack, bro?
잠시 후에 심판진의
And I think the answer is no. Neither player wants to attack.
없는 상황이었죠.
I wonder what the referees want to do in this situation. I really haven't seen anything like this before. In pre-ASL times, or pre-remastered, or post-remastered. Not quite this situation. Of course, sometimes games get insane, and neither player is able to produce anything anymore, and that maybe there's a floating building or something. The opponent can't shoot up, or everyone has too much static defense and not enough attacking units, and sometimes that can end in a draw. But I've never seen one with so much left on the map, nearly, I think, maxed for both players, but neither player willing to attack. They're both just gonna sit back here and wait for the other, and there's no incentive to go forward and give up your defensive advantage. So I think we are going to have this game come to an end with the referees calling a draw. There may be a rematch. Let's go ahead and skip forward a little bit. We'll find out. Looks like they're discussing. And yeah, the game is over. Both players not going to be willing to attack. We're never going to find out how that would have gone. I feel like you saved the game. Don't you? You should save the game. And I don't remember if you could do that before pre-remaster. I think you could, though, couldn't you? Couldn't you save the game and then reload it with both players in the game, and then play out like one player attack the other, and then load the game again, and then have the other player attack and see who wins? I feel like that would be the best outcome, but it appears that it's just going to be the referees calling a draw here, and I guess we're going to have a rematch. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And to you, my Patreon supporter who sent me this video, thank you so much. That was very enjoyable and is super, super nostalgic. I much appreciate it, and also appreciate your support. Thank you. That's it. Goodbye.